Listen, when I was in the hood, or even now, I'm gonna be honest with you, my biggest threat that I see when I go out is usually somebody that look like me. It's not. I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? If I got on some jewelry or I'm going or doing something, it's usually somebody that look like me. What do you think is the greatest challenge that Black people are faced with now? What plagues our culture? I mean, we made great advancements, obviously, but what do you think is our biggest hurdle? Is it us, or is it still a system that's oppressing us?
Right. If it's us, what's inherently flawed about us? Can't be us. Can't be just us. These other groups who come over here, when you go look at their homelands, they don't really have it popping until they get over here.
Right.
You understand? So it's the circumstances. It's the system that's created. The system will sabotage certain groups and will not sabotage others. For example, some of these other groups, they come over here and they can get businesses and they're help with businesses. Yep. And they can do all types of janky things within their businesses. And law enforcement will look the other way. Right. You understand? Right. With us, even if we're 100% legit,
we're scrutinized. We're held to a different standard, more stringent standard. Yeah.
There's a business down in Texas, the Turkey Leg Hut, and very successful. And those brothers and sisters, man, they've been getting harassed, fined for just all types of random frivolous stuff. This happened to Black businesses all the time. Going back to the Black Wall Streets, Central Avenue here in LA, that was a very prosperous Black area. Yeah. Then they built the freeway over there and kind of thwarted and uprooted that, which is what they're doing to Crenshaw now. A lot of the Black businesses were uprooted because they're putting the train thing down there. So we've always been sabotaged like that. Right. Going back to Crenshaw, brothers and sisters used to barbecue and sell barbecue and fish plates and stuff on the streets. They didn't stop that. You got to have a certain permit, but they don't do that to some of these new people who come over here. They don't do that to them. So we got to understand how we as Black people are specifically sabotaged by the dominant society, and that's our problem. We have to learn how to protect ourselves and insulate ourselves from the white supremacists trying to sabotage us.
So you think the sabotage, I know it comes from several different ways, but, you know, speaking to our culture, they've done a number on us mentally.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The social engineering of it. How do you think, what can we do to fix our circumstances? And when I'm talking about the Chicago, you know, the violence in Chicago, the violence in LA. Like, what could we do? And how can we help the youngsters kind of make different choices and understand what you and I know from this vantage point?
We have to understand the importance of empowerment. And again, why are we in the certain circumstances that we're in? It's a lack of resources. Why do we have a lack of resources? We've seen out here in Los Angeles, some of the people on the city council, we've heard private tapes of them literally plotting against the Black community, plotting to take money from our communities. We have to look and see why we're put in certain positions, why we have to move out to the Inland Empire in order to afford a house. Who's orchestrating this stuff? You understand? This is orchestrated by people, man. Once we start understanding people are doing this stuff to us, we can learn how to navigate around it. That's how we get on code with each other. We built something in South Central called the Hidden History Museum, 100% grassroots. I raised $1 million on Indiegogo. It took like 30 days. It was unprecedented. When I raised that $1 million, boy, they start sending agents and agent provocateurs all over the place. Man, they came out of the woodworks. But we got it done, and we got the Hidden History Museum down there, man. We put our own artifacts in there, our own murals. We have events there all the time. And they play the little permit game with us all the time. Oh, you got to get the liquor license. Oh, you got to get this permit. So we understood that going in, we were going to get it. So we just have to be prepared for that.
So I'm with you 100% with everything you said. But right? I'm kind of trying to get it, but you already know where I'm going to it, right? So my brother, I agree with all of that, but I still want to say accountability. What could we be doing different? What do you suggest? Because let's just face it, everything ain't that. You know, some is making choices. You know what I'm saying? So
now give an example. See, let's break it down. So
okay.
So like what? Like
okay, so, go ahead.
Okay, no, okay. So I was gonna ask. Okay, like socially, like even with the men and women today, even when we look at marriage rates, the nuclear family, right? in my opinion, as even a woman navigating men of today, or let's just say our community, black men of today, there's no white devil sitting on their shoulder with these everyday choices that they're making. Men still are creating broken homes. Men are still, out here philandering, passing out diseases like candy. You know what I mean? There's still, even now, we have more statistics coming out. More men are refusing to work now. There may be a lot of other variables in there, like mental health and, maybe wanting to try entrepreneurship. I can give leeway for that. But socially, we can all agree that we are not in a healthy ecosystem as far as each other.
Now, why are we
absent the white devil that's here? Because there's no white devil sitting on the shoulder of these men on a everyday basis.
And I'm gonna let you go because I can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to hear it. But I agree with everything you're saying. I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
But even when you go to, we've made advancements, as a culture, we have, right? We're able to get money. Even if you look at the entertainment aspect, even if you look at our athletes, and everybody makes mistakes in life, so we're all growing. But if it comes back to resource, we have plenty prominent people of color and black folks that have risen above and transcended the circumstances of the hood and not having resources, yet will still perpetuate and make the same bad choices as if they're back here in the hood with nothing. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, even if you go to the rappers, right? And I mean, I don't really want to use them, but we'll use them. Let's just say they make it out the hood, they get a couple $1 million, yet the mentality doesn't change. You see what I'm saying? They still doing the same thing. So are we to say that this is, some type of design or plot, or are we just making, we celebrate destructive culture? Tell me your thoughts.
That is called being human. We are human.
This is true.
We are not infallible.
This is right.
Yeah. We have a God-given right to do some dumb shit every now and then.
That's right.
The problem is everybody does dumb shit.
Yes.
The white boys do the dumb shit too.
Yes.
They're just not punished for it.
Yes.
See, they're kind of given a pass. They're like, okay, he's a lone wolf. But if a black person does some dumb shit, well, it's a culture thing, which is not a culture thing. They try to blame it on our culture.
I disagree. I disagree. Because I'll tell you why. I mean, because I was a part of it. You know what I mean? I was a part of it. So if you think about it, okay, for instance, I was raised on love, not survival. So I come from a household where in my house, education was a focal point. I was loved. I was, I had all of that. But when I step outside, now this could kind of speak to what you're saying. There's an environment created from this system, right? But even within that environment, there's a celebration of destruction. I know because I was a part of it. You know what I mean? So I wasn't taught it. I wasn't born with that. I wasn't born prone to criminality or anything. It was a learned behavior, but we celebrated it. The more people we shot, the more we got down on we celebrate a cat coming home from doing 10, 15 more than we do a dude that just going to college. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, I'm not, because in the comments they're gonna call me Uncle Ruckus. I'm not saying that shit, right? But just having the conversation, because I've been fortunate enough to be there, but then when I was able to transcend that circumstance, it was my mentality that had to change, but I had to do the work, you see? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't grow up, listen, when I was in the hood, or even now, I'm gonna be honest with you, my biggest threat that I see when I go out is usually somebody that look like me. It's not. I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? If I got on some jewelry or I'm going or doing something, it's usually somebody that look like me that I'm
gonna disagree
about.
with that, because black criminality is only regulated really to a certain area. You understand?
So I agree. There's no such thing as black on black crime.
Right.
Chinese people kill Chinese people in China. Mexican people kill Mexican people. People kill who they're around. It's proximity. I understand that. I get that. But what I'm speaking to is just there is a thing in us, because I've had to fix it in my own mind.
Even outside of those spaces.
Outside of those spaces, I've had to fix it. That's what I'm saying. When I moved to LA, I moved to Brentwood, right? I remember 22 years ago, I mean, I come from gangbang culture, so I still kind of had that aura. I remember standing in line somewhere, and I'm just looking at a cat. There's all these white people around, and I'm looking at a brother, and I'm picking him apart in my head. I'm just, man, look at this. Look at this square. Like, man, this dude a goofy. Like, and I had to think to myself, why am I doing that?
Right,
I don't even know him. And that's where it clicked for me. But for so long, because we celebrated that. We celebrated, stepping on each other, man. Because think about it. When the police come, we'll run. You know what I'm saying? We'll run right past white folks and knock one of us down. So what can we do to fix that? And I'm speaking from being in it at a
because
time.
Typically, a part of foundational Black American culture, that type of cutthroat thing, that's only regulated to a certain area.
Yeah.
Generally, we as foundational Black Americans, when we see each other publicly, there's an unspoken acknowledgement. Hey, I see you, brother. I see you. If anything go down, we got each other's back. That's usually how we grew up.
I'm talking about the generation now.
I understand
now,
that,
I'm born in the 70s, but coming up in the 80s and the 90s, that wasn't what it was. So going back to what I said, it's a destructive culture. There is. We have to acknowledge it. There is a destructive culture that we celebrate amongst us. We do. And I think that has to be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, even I just told a youngster the other day, we were talking about just conflict resolution amongst us, and I was like, back in my day, we shot the fade. We shot a fair one, nobody dies, you get up, go your way. He was like, nah, OG, that's some old, you know what I mean? Like, I might fight my homeboy, but nah, anybody else, I'm just going to shoot that. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow. So I said, but you do understand that if you do that, when you go to jail, you won't be fighting for the rest of your life. There ain't no guns. So, the mathematics says go ahead and lose this fight, because you're going to lose 100 of them in jail for the next 50 years.
But the thing is, Black people, less than 1% of Black people, and there's 40 million of us, I think less than 40% of us have a criminal record. Oftentimes, the dominant society will judge Black society on the lowest common denominator, and then we mess around and start doing that. So we'll look at the sagging pants dude drinking a 40 ounce as Black culture, and that's a mistake. Our culture is very vast.
Yes, we're not a monolith.
We're not. I was talking about Sexy Red the other day, the rapper. She's from y'all place. They keep showing her all the time.
Yep.
And the only issue I have with that is that they don't have a balance to Sexy Red no more.
I agree.
You see?
I agree.
If you don't have a balance, Sexy Red becomes the culture.
Yes.
Because this is what a lot of white supremacists like to do. They like to point to her and say, oh, look at Black culture.
Yes.
That's the only one you're promoting.
Yes.
Going into the 90s, we had our version of Sexy Red, which was Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim.
And Choice.
Right, and Choice from, But the thing is, to balance that, you had Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Yo-Yo, In Vogue, Shantae Moore. You had a whole bunch of people who could balance that ratchetness out.
Yep.
So we have to.
That's a fact.
And I don't knock ratchetness.
No.
I done laid up with a ratchet too.
Listen.
Ratchets are fun.
Sexy Red, her music, man, them beats be jamming.
The song, I'm not.
Shit be jamming.
The song knocks.
I agree, though.
The song knocks.
Yeah.
But having her as the prototype for Black women, that is dangerous.
Yes,
so we got to also understand balance is very important.
You are correct.
That's my thing.
You are
and
correct.
I don't judge us by the lowest common denominator because we're more than just the hood.
That's right.
There's a whole bunch of Black people out here, man. Again, we're the only group of people who have internationally respected icons.
Yes.
No other group has icons like the Dr. Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Rosa Parks, the Nat Turners, the Harriet Tubmans. Nobody has that like us, internationally recognized. I learned this when I would travel around the world. People would see a Black American. They were like, oh, my God, I've never seen one of you before in my life. They would be in awe. It's like they're seeing a God almost. So we got to understand the positives of our culture.
That's right.
And how it's perceived nation or worldwide.